All right, we're going to go ahead and get started, and people will just join as they join. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let me reload the screen. While I'm reloading the screen, if you guys can tell me if you are a childcare owner or a case manager, caseworker, social worker, what career path are you on? So I like to, as I'm talking through this, tailor it to the room. So you guys can go ahead and put that in the chat. Okay, I see childcare owner. The last one I did, we were full of childcare owners. Ashanti, hi, childcare owner. And if you're new in here, I did ask, no pressure though, because I had some people like driving, but if you can be on camera, just because as I do this, I like to see faces, and not feel like I'm talking to myself. Like, even though I know y'all here, it's just helpful as I'm doing this. Because we're not in person, right? And so I like to talk to people. So if you could be on camera, that would be great. Sheree, he said, currently developing unique business model for childcare and mentorship. I like that. Okay. Childcare student who wants to own a family childcare. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so far, childcare owners, anybody that's not a childcare owner, because if it's all childcare owners here, as I speak, I'm gonna be speaking to childcare owners. So I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. So speak now if you're not a childcare owner. And so my name is Maria Vincent. I'm pretty sure you guys are. Does anybody here know me, like have seen my brand anywhere, or did you just all kind of find me on the Facebook ad and I'm a stranger? So I would like to know also who's in the room. Facebook. Okay. Anybody here like already was on my page before? Okay, so mostly everybody knew. Okay, because I don't want to always assume people know me. Okay, Facebook. All right. So everybody here new. Well, welcome to the PNCC Business Blueprint. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about myself in just a second. I put my ad out specifically targeting childcare owners, but this is not a business for just childcare owners. I just target childcare owners because, in my opinion, it's the perfect marriage. This business, PNCC, and a childcare business go together. And so I'm going to talk about that tonight on why that makes sense. And so also I'm going to talk about how to first learn about what this is and how to actually start this business. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Before we get started, though, I always do house rules, just because I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that's helpful to you. And so I am, although I'm a teacher, I like to teach, I'm also a student. And so I do a lot of different webinars that I'm actually going and I listen to people. But I know that if I am on a webinar and I have my phone on or I have social media on, I'm barely paying attention. And so, if you really want to learn about this and how you can scale it and make money in this program, the house rules off. Turn your phones off if you can, or put them on silent. Log off of social media. Grab paper and pen because you want to take notes. And then make sure you stay to the end. And so there's a big question a lot of you guys have. For one, what is PNCC, right? Anybody here, are you familiar with PNCC? Do you know what that means? Is anybody here, are you familiar with PNCC? Yes, or you're not familiar and you looking for more information? And so, as I said before, as you guys are filling it out, again, I like to know who's in the room. As you're replying to that, a lot of you, if you own a childcare business, most of what we do in PNCC, you're already doing, and you're doing it for free, right? And so you have moms who come in, whether they have infants, toddlers, after school kids, right? Their kids are school age and they bring them after school. Sometimes, or a lot of times, you're also been a support for mom. You're giving them different resources. You're providing. I've seen, I myself, I'm not a daycare owner. I tried it for a hot second. I did family childcare, and I realized really quick that's not for me. I'm a owner, not the worker, because I was stuck in my house and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, no, I don't like this. I do want to have a center, but I'm gonna own it. I don't want to be the worker. And so a lot of owners, they provide diapers, they become like friends sometimes, right, with your mom. Like you're building this relationship with them, you're building trust. And you're sometimes offering emotional support to them. Just in any way, you're there for them, right? Well, with PNCC, you can do that and also get paid through Medicaid. And so you're already doing it for free. Why not get paid for what you do? So you have the trust in the community. You already get new moms, you get the kids, you get referrals from the moms. And so there's trust there. And so I'm going to teach you how to also, with that trust, make a full circle type business where you're helping them all over the place and then you're creating more loyalty. So you're having a not only a mom who's there for daycare, you're going to have a mom there for other things too. And now she's really going to refer other people to you because you're helping her so much in other areas as well. And so this is to teach you how to have another stream of income without having to go and pay for another building, go and enroll new kids, get more staff, etc. Sheree, you said you're a prenatal advisor. Does that mean you're a PNCC coordinator? Is that what you're a care coordinator? Ashanti, you're a care coordinator. Sadie, I think that's how you say your name. You're not familiar.
No, no, what I was saying is I was tackling you were asking us, did we know what it meant? And so no.
Oh, you was giving us, okay, got it. You was getting a stab at what it meant. Got you. Okay, I'm gonna actually break down because it's two programs, but thank you for that. So you're here because, like I said, you probably already have a child care, which I think everybody here is a child care owner or aspire to be a child care owner, and that's myself included. But you already work with a lot of moms who have the child care assistance. So more than likely, they also have Medicaid, right? And so you're probably tired of relying on tuition and ratios and making sure you're always packed. Or when you're full to capacity, because there's a number that you get to, how do you also bring in more income without opening up a whole nother child care center? Right. You already get referrals, you get support, you give guidance. But a lot of times it's unpaid because that's your heart. You give back to moms. And then, like I said before, you have a community that trusts you. But you could fear burnout because a lot of childcare owners have been doing it for years. And it's like, what's next? How can I increase? How can I be better? How can I build better? Again, without necessarily having to open up that second location, which is a lot of people aspire to have two or three locations. I know when eventually I do a child care center, I'm going to have multiple. But in some of you, which I don't think anybody here is like a doula or a home visitor, a nurse, or anything like that, but this works for you too if you are in the room. And so, if you guys are new to me, which a lot of you, it seems like you are, I am a wife, a mom of four kids, two of which are adults now, and one moved out and she's in college in a different state. And I say that on all my lives because I'm still like blown by that. They grew up so fast. And then I have two younger ones. So, prayerfully, y'all won't hear them tonight, but sometimes they get a little beside themselves and they might try to whisper something like, Mom, like they can hear you. Or they try to go find something in the kitchen and be real loud. So anyway, but I've been an entrepreneur since 2006. So I've been doing this thing for quite some time. In 2011, I actually was a PNCC client. My daughter, who is now turning 14 in about 2 weeks, I was actually a client when I was pregnant with her. And my best friend became a care coordinator, and she was like, "Hey, let me sign you up, and I'll help you with whatever you need help with." At this time, I was still in college. Still, I was married by like I was married for a year at that point, and we were looking for a new place to rent. And she's like, well, I'll help you find a house and all these things. I'm like, well, sure, okay, fine. And so throughout my pregnancy, she helped me with different things and different resources in the community that I was born and raised in Milwaukee. I had no clue that was out there. I'm like, I didn't know that Milwaukee had all these things. And so once gave birth to my daughter, I actually wanted to become a care coordinator. I was like, I like what you do. I have my degree in community education. I want to be in the community, hook me up. And so I actually started working with her at the place. Again, that was 2011, 2012. So they're not even open anymore. But I was a care coordinator. So I went from client to care coordinator. Eventually, she decided to open up her own business. And I switched over with her and I became a case manager. So now not only was I working with clients, I became the case manager and was overseeing all the other care coordinators. So I started to run her business and she stepped out of it and she just became the owner and I was just running the whole thing. I was doing the business meetings, I was doing the billing, I was doing everything. Eventually she decided she didn't want to do it anymore and I'm like, here I am thinking that I'm self-employed because I was a 1099 contractor and I did my own schedule and I'm like, freedom. Soon as she said after like she was thinking about closing, that was like, well, where am I going to work? Now I'm unemployed. I'm self-employed, but not really because I'm under her stuff. And so in 2015, I decided to open up my own business. And at that time, I was working a 9 to 5 when I did because she closed hers and I went and got a job. And between working my 9 to 5 and being my only care coordinator at that time, I grew my business to 6 figures and decided to let that 9 to 5 go. And so since 2015, I have not had a 9 to 5 job, full-time entrepreneur since then. After that, I decided in 2018 to start coaching women to help them open this same business. Because people would come and say, how did you open that? How did you open that? At first, I was like, okay, well, just do this while I was, working my business. But in 2018, I decided to make it a real coaching business. And so I created a university, I created classes, I was doing workshops. My last webinar like this, I actually had somebody that was in my in-person workshop when we had it at a hotel. And so I've been doing this for quite some time. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit about me that I've been in the PNCC world since 2011. I know a lot about it. It's not many women or people in general out there teaching PNCC, especially not many people teaching PNCC with the amount of years that I've had in it. Also, I didn't say this, but if you guys have questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat, or if you like raise your hand, I could just say go ahead and talk. And I always say raise your hand only because if multiple people try to talk at the same time, it gets confusing. And so I'm here for the questions. I want to make sure that when you guys leave this webinar that everything is clear, that you know if this is something for you, if you even qualify to do this, because you do have to qualify, which we'll get to. But just to answer any questions that you guys might have, because some people say I'm just here to learn more info. Some people said they're ready to start within the next 30 days. Some people say they're ready to start within the next 2, 3 months. And so this hopefully here is here for you to collect all the information that you need. But if there's gaps, make sure you ask the question because somebody else might have that same question. So Um, like I said, you don't have to start over. You already have some type of foundation. Again, whether you're aspired to be a child care owner or you already have a child care, you have something. You just need to add on to it. Again, I know that starting a child care business is expensive. Again, I did it for a little bit and it was family, and I only had like 3 kids. So I can only imagine what it's like to have a big center or turn your whole entire house into this daycare, right? And so this starting this business is nowhere near that amount of money and time that you had to put in energy that you had to put into starting your childcare business or starting a second or third location. So you just need to add on. And what I'm talking about is PNCC. So again, we talked about trust and relationships. This is state funded. Right now, where the economy is, if you have a business that involves customers, It's kind of tricky. I am a serial entrepreneur, so I have multiple businesses, and I can tell you one that to those customer based businesses, I have a kid spa business, and to try to go and still get people to spend as much as they was a few years ago on a birthday package, it ain't hitting like it was a couple of years ago. And so the amazing thing about this type of business is it's backed by Medicaid. And so literally every woman in your program, they have to have Medicaid. If they don't have Medicaid, they can't be in it. So they're not paying you out of pocket. The state is. And the state is paying you for the services that you provide to them. So everything that you do, you have case notes. You say, hey, this is what we did this month. You bill the state, they pay you. So I always tell people, especially when the pandemic was happening, that this is like a recession-proof business because now it's recession-proof based on the economy, but it also, I teach all of my students, it's important on who is in office, right? And so years ago when I always forget who was before Scott Walker. I see his picture in, I see his face, but I always forget his name. But the mayor before Scott Walker, right? We used to could bill for 40 hours a month working with a CCC client. And if you don't know what that means, I'm gonna get to that in a second. 40 hours a month we would work with those clients. When Scott Walker came into office, he changed that to 10 hours a month. So imagine if you're a care coordinator like I was, and you built your life around billing. Let's say you have 20 clients, and each client you're billing 40 hours a month. Nice little income. And then the new governor comes in and changes and says it's 10 hours, not 40. That matters to your livelihood, right? And then when Everest just came in, he didn't give our hours back, but he did increase the pay. So he said, okay, instead of this for a pregnancy, you get this much. He said, how about we increase it to this much? Instead of this much an hour, how are we going to increase it to this much an hour, right? And so I tell all my students, if you don't vote, if you got this, have this type of business, you need to vote because your livelihood matters when it's who's in office, even up to the president, because they make these laws, they make these rules, right? And so, but still, at the end of the day, you don't have to worry about the person's income, whether they want to pay you or buy some food. That's not the case. It's all in being built to the Medicaid. And then, okay, perfect fit again. And I'm talking about this a little bit more about PNCC been the perfect fit for your childcare center. Why? Because you're already working with kids. We know that a lot of young moms, when they come and let's say they have an infant or they have a toddler, in this Milwaukee, 9 times out of 10, within 2 years, they pregnant. Right. And that was my experience as a care coordinator. A lot of my clients would have multiple babies. And so it would, and if you have a child care, they come in, they say, here's my 8 week old or 6 week old baby. A year later, they come back, I'm pregnant now. Now you can sign them up for PNCC. Or if you get them before 60 days, you can enroll them in CCC. Again, we'll get to what that means in a second. But it's a circle, right? Or let's just say you get a client in PNCC and she's pregnant, and whether this is her first or fifth or third baby, you say, hey, I have a child care center if you need child care services. And then now she's bringing her newborn or her already however old kids to your child care center. So now you're servicing mom in both businesses and you're getting paid by different streams of income because one, if she's on state insurance, she has Medicaid and she has child care assistance, and the government is paying for both to you, to your two separate businesses. And so it's the perfect fit. And then right along with that, you have your one-stop solution now, because now I'm helping you with your life skills, and we'll talk about what that means in a second. And also I'm providing you childcare services if you have a job or you're in school, or I'm helping you find a job because, they pay for that too, for looking for a job. So I'm here again, one-stop shop for you. So, what are the two different programs? PNCC is actually prenatal care coordination. The entire focus of this program is helping women that are pregnant up until that child turns 60 days. So they're pregnant, they give birth. Up until that baby turns 60 days, they're in PNCC. And the whole point of this program is focused on healthy pregnancy. We want to make sure you're going to the doctor. We want to, oh, I also have a dog too. I always forget to say that until she just randomly barked and she right here. But yeah, so you're helping them with their pregnancy, but you are not the nurse. You are not the doctor. You are not the doula, right? You're not doing anything medical with her. It's almost like you I always tell my, even when I have my contractors, think of yourself as a life coach. This is what we're helping them with. And so, are you taking your prenatal vitamins? Are you going to your doctor? If you smoke or you used to smoke, how do we get you off of smoking without hurting your baby? True story, one of my clients before, she was a smoker. And this is when I was like brand new to even being a care coordinator. So I didn't know much about the process of stop smoking while you're pregnant. And she was my client, and I would talk to her. And I actually did give her a referral to some programs that help you stop smoking. She decided to do it on her own, and she quit cold turkey. From this experience, I learned that if you're pregnant and you're smoking, you cannot quit cold turkey. She actually ended up having a miscarriage because she quit cold turkey, and you're supposed to wean the baby off of such a thing. And so, but again, I never gave medical advice, which is why I tell my people stay away from giving medical advice because we're dealing with lives. And if you don't know about this type of stuff, you can't give that type of advice. So what we do is we refer them to places. So I referred her to a place to help her stop smoking. So we don't give medical advice on nutrition or anything like that. You have to have someone on staff that can give medical advice. Now, because I am a mother of four, I can talk to you about my experience. I can talk to you what it was like to, from my first to my fourth and how he just slipped right on out there because he was number four. Number one took 17 hours, right? I can talk to her about my experience with gaining weight and things like that, but I'm not giving her medical advice. I'm always referring her back to her doctor or referring her to a nutritionist. But let's say she need help with rent. I can refer you to a resource in the community that will help you. So this is what we do. We give resources, referrals to resources to help them with whatever it is that they have going on. With PNCC, you get paid $47.92 an hour for approved services, and we'll get to what that means in a second. Now, CCC, separate program, is now focused on positive parenting. And so you're working with mom up until that child turns 7. So they go from PNCC to CCC. To make it simple, you can bring people in. I got this question in last class. You can bring people into CCC that wasn't in PNCC with you before, but it's a very short window of 60 days of that baby being born. So if that baby is now 65 days, they can't be enrolled into the program. So it's from 0 to 60 days that that baby can be enrolled. But once enrolled, you can work with mom up until that child turns 7. And then again, most of the time when they're in CCC, they end up pregnant and then they're a PNCC client again with a new baby. And so I only teach Milwaukee County. They do allow Racine for CCC. I don't teach that because I've never opened in Racine. I've never done anything in Racine. I do not teach anything I've never done. And so I did have one of my students who wanted to learn about Racine, but they kept putting her in circles and she just gave up. She just never did it because it says you can do Racine, but it was a lot of jumping through hoops for her. So like I said, focus on parenting skills and development, and CCC allows you $45.40 an hour for approved services. Any questions so far? Nope, I'm doing a good job. All right. Now, I think most of you guys said that No, I think it was half and half. Some of you are familiar with this program and some of you are not. So I'm going to give you a real short version of the tea of PNCC and what has transpired over the years because I never want to bring people into this and they not know the full story. And so PNCC have been around for years. Like I said, I actually started with it myself in 2011, but it was something before then, right? And for whatever reason, it became very popular, almost like childcare. Where childcare became very popular and everybody wanted to do it because they thought it was a lot of money in it, right? And so about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was in the news. I don't know if you guys saw this. A handful of women were, I don't want to say arrested because I don't think they were arrested, but they were caught under suspicion of fraud. And so the FBI got involved. It literally was all over the news. And they raided their places of employment. They confiscated all the files and things like that. They actually combed social media for everything that they posted on social media. Um, because there were people who were coming in to this business for the money. And within their first year, they were making millions of dollars, literally their first year. But come to find out, it was mostly fraud, right? And so what the state ended up doing from that is they made it a little bit more difficult for women to one open. And I say women because 98% of this business is women operated, right? It's mostly women care coordinators, mostly women who own this. I have seen one guy who owns one, but that's just what I saw. I don't know. And so, yeah, they made it difficult. They changed a lot of the rules. They made it harder for billing. But the one thing that I always say when I do these webinars, they made it hard on billing for people who didn't know what they were doing. And so because I've been doing this since 2011, um, I was trained by an auditor. They used to have people come out and audit or train you on how to do notes. They trained you on all these different things. And so I actually was trained by an auditor of the state. I actually went through it my own audit within my first year. And so I learned a lot. And so when I teach my students, I reached out to all of them and say, hey, are you guys having issues with billing? And they say no. And I'm like, okay, it's because I taught them how to do it right. And so, and I say that because if anybody heard like, oh, PNCC is hard or they're not billing or they don't let you do this, they just don't allow you to do what's not right. And so a lot of people, but they didn't know because there's no more training on this. They didn't know that what they were doing was wrong. So I say it to say these four things that's on the screen are the four things that this is your circle. Think of this as a circle. You stay in this circle. Do not go outside this circle. Okay. And so the first thing that you do when you find a woman who is pregnant or she has a baby that's 60 days or younger, you give her an assessment. Well, first you got to make sure she has Medicaid, right? Because if she don't have Medicaid, Medicaid not paying. So first thing first is she got to have Medicaid. You want to do an assessment. From this assessment, it's going to give you risk factors. It's going to say if she's pregnant, it's going to say maybe she has a high BMI, which most of the women that I worked with, high BMI. It's going to say that age related, if she's under this age or she's over this age and she's pregnant, that can be a risk factor. So it's a couple of things on this risk assessment that gives you risk factors. CCC, maybe she doesn't have her high school diploma and she wants to go get her GED or HSCD, right? Or let's say she's homeless or whatever these different things are. You take that assessment. If she has enough points, you then say, yay, she qualifies. She's going to be a client. Step two is to give her a care plan. You do not do anything after this assessment but a care plan. This is where people messed up. They would start doing services without this care plan. So now that you have this assessment and then you give her the care plan is going to say, how do we address all of these risk factors? You have a high BMI. what do we do? Maybe we connect you to a nutritionist so that you can start looking at carbs that turn into sugar and things like that. Again, I know from experience because I was pregnant, but I can't teach you because I don't have a degree. So I'm going to give you to a nutritionist, right? And so, or maybe you don't have your GED, and I'm going to set you up with a program that's going to help you get your GED or HSCD, right? And so everything that's on this care plan came from that assessment. This is where, again, where people messed up. I actually had a contractor, she was on staff and she didn't know, she wasn't trying to get over or anything, but this is why I always check my paperwork to the T. She tried to bill for helping her client plan a baby shower. That's that's not on the risk. That's not on the assessment. Like what are you addressing here? You just can't bill for anything. And that's not on her care plan. So if it's not on a care plan that did not come from the assessment, you cannot do it, right? And this is where people were messing up. And so you have to be careful what you're helping her with, and that is something that's billable, which is why I say it's important where it said approved services. I can't go and help her plan a baby shower and then bill the state for that. That's not a thing, right? So now you have your assessment, you have your care plan. Now, based on this care plan, we have the care plan. This is what we're planning to do to address all these risk factors. Now I'm going to give you referrals to every single one of these plans. The plan is to get your HSCD, so I'm going to refer you to here. The plan is to help you move because you don't like your neighborhood because it's within the past 5 years it became more dangerous. Here's a place that can help you with security deposit, right? That's it. Assessment, care plan, referral. That is it. There is no bribing with, I'm gonna get you these diapers, I'm gonna pay for your whatever. We can't, and this is what those companies were doing, and this is what kind of got them in trouble too, because it looked like they were bribing people to come to them. They say, I would give you a $50 referral bonus, or not referral, but I would pay you $50 to come to us, or every month you'll get these diapers, or you'll get this stipend for just, and then they would give these things and bill, but never provide the service. And so the state really cracked down on bribing or what looks like bribing. And so I also teach how to market your business without bribing. And then relationship support. And so just like you're the support for the moms that come in and you chat for like 15, 20 minutes or whatever, you're offering, again, I can talk to you about my experience, about being pregnant, being married. A lot of them would be single moms and eventually want to be married, or they're with their baby dad and they want to, like, they asking for relationship advice. And so, but first, making sure relationship advice is in that care plan. If it ain't in that care plan, we're not talking about it. Or we could talk about it, but I can't bill for it. And so you're not doing clinical treatment if you're not a therapist, right? You're just giving experience and you're just talking to one woman to another woman, right? Any questions on that? I'm always ask that question before I drink and get some water.
Maria, I do have a question because I told you I'm putting together, I'm almost finished with my business plan, and I have a business idea called Mommy Works. Now, the
Mhm.
crust of me is, for years, I was a mentor. I ran a couple of ministries at my church, and I was very good with the girls' mentorship. And so, what I do by day, I'm a mortgage loan originator. And so, I have this plan, it's called Mommy Works. And so my plan for this is not really a daycare for the general community, but it's a daycare for moms to come in with their kids and they spend part of their day working with their children with a facilitator to help guide them with helping them, with the kids learning their ABCs so that the kids get to spend most of, or at least half of the day with their moms. And the other half of the day, the moms will work. And so I was interested in what you were offering because I was trying to figure out how do I do the income stream of providing money for that part because I want to pay the moms. However, I don't really know how to do that without looking illegal.
No, that's easy. First of all, I love that, right? I always say when I would have my contractors, it's all in how you word things. because that's not illegal, right? Because you are helping, but you can't. Okay, so let me give you an example. So they say don't bribe, right?
Okay.
They say don't bribe and say I'll give you $50 if you come to me. Well, so then I'm not gonna put that in my marketing. But that doesn't mean that once you're internally inside of my business, that I can't offer incentives for you achieving goals because that's what we did. We had baby books. I actually got that idea from the Women's Center. The Women's Center, which is where I would send some of my student or clients, is if you go there and take a class, they'll give you baby bucks, and then after about a month or so, you can go shopping in their closet and buy things with their baby bucks. And so one of my clients who was pregnant with twins, she actually was able to go get two cribs for free using her baby books.
Okay.
I can do that, but I'm not using that in my advertising to lure people in to say, come to me over them because I'm going to pay you. Right. And so that's an internal practice for you with CCC. Can't do that too much with PNCC, but with CCC, which is again, they have the baby already, which it kind of falls in line with the child care center, right? You can do group coaching
Yes.
if it's in their care plan that they're trying to maybe move out of that community into a better, nicer community. And let's just say maybe in the care plan, you're going to say they want to buy a house. So now I'm providing this group class where you get paid for those people to be there. And what you do with your money after that is up to you. So you're not saying in the case notes that I'm paying each of these moms whatever amount of money to be here. You don't have to say that in your case notes. That's an internal policy because you're letting them know in your own SOPs, right? That for attending this workshop or attending this class, you're going to get XYZ. That's going to help you do this. It's not just free money, the intent to help you. And you think about what is that? The housing authority. I think they do those workshops,
Yes.
right?
It's an
They
actual,
they
yeah.
give grants. They
Mhm.
give grants for down payment assistance. It's the same thing. It's
Oh, so
just
I can present it like a grant almost, because really what it is the moms are going to be staff moms. And what
yeah,
I want, with this whole program, I want to give them a sense of community so that they're not by themselves, teaching women how to help each other. So they're going to be
mhm,
doing a switch part of the day with the kids and part of the day uh,
yeah.
in the office, and they have to kind of switch and tag
I
off,
love that.
help each other's
I,
kids, and then have group where we're sitting there. I actually just had a presentation with Thrivent Financial
hmm
about life insurance, like things like that in group,
hmm
exposing them to things that we don't usually in the low to moderate income communities that we don't get. Um,
Right,
and
right.
okay, so that makes us, I can do it almost like a grant in a way. And then 'cause
Yes.
I don't want them to be there forever. Like, maybe two years, if anything.
That's
And
always the goal, right?
yeah,
That's always the goal because I want to help you get a career,
yes,
right? And if it's not college, and that's not for everybody, then what is it? And so a lot of the moms that I actually help, because entrepreneurship has always been in my blood, even as a young mom at 20, I was an Avon lady. So I
right.
always wanted to do something, right? And so a lot of the moms that I work with actually became entrepreneurs. I had one who started a daycare, started a cleaning business, started a nail business, like whatever it is your interests are. But I got paid to talk to them about those things, right? Because I'm helping you not just have and not that 9 to 5 is bad, it's not, but in this day and age, what can you have on the side to or in place of because a 9 to 5 is not as stable as it used to be. So it's all in how you word things. And like I like the whole grant thing, like you'll get a grant if you do this, but that's not bribing them. That's a part of the business model. And it's also not, again, you got to be very careful in how you market that too. And one thing that, again, I would tell my students, like, if you was to market that business, you can't say it's only for PNCC people. Because if you do it for people in the community too, you're not bribing just PNCC. Anybody can come and do this and get the grant. But I'm not saying that's what you're going to do, but I'm just saying if you market in a way It has to be for everybody, not specifically for PNCC. And that's what makes it not look like you're bribing them to be in your business.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I like that though. I think that's a really great idea. Okay, so you can make almost $50 an hour working with your clients, and this is per client, right? And so in the beginning, like I said, I started my business in 2015. I was my only contractor. Even though I had been doing it for some time, for whatever reason, I didn't look at this as a real business to me. I just looked at it, and my mindset was just this was another job, but I was working for myself. And so I just was the only care coordinator. Eventually, I grew my clientele to about 35 clients. And then again, depending on which program. Now, again, it wasn't this much. It didn't change to be this much until Evers got into office. Scott Walker was not paying this. But had my clientele, and I was capped at my 35 clients making this much per client a month. And so about a year later, I decided to hire a team. And so I went, and at this time, here's a question that I get often: do you have to have an office? You don't have to have an office. You have to have a separate space. And so in the house that I used to live in when I started, I literally had a small, tiny corner in my living room. Eventually, I did get an office space, but it wasn't until I had a team, and I think I hired about 3 people, and we actually had our meetings in the library because I still wasn't ready to get an office. So we were having our team meetings in the library. I would rent out one of those rooms, and we would have trainings there and everything. Eventually, I did get an office space. Uh-oh, think I heard a baby. So eventually I did run out of space, and we grew, and then I ended up having 5 coordinators, and I inspired them to have about 35 clients too. Now again, imagine just me, my one self with 35 versus 5 coordinators with 35. You best believe I actually I was no longer working with clients. I became the program manager. And then actually after that, when it was going really great, I actually decided to move out of Milwaukee. I moved to Georgia, and I hired a program manager. And so my business at this time started to run without me being in it, and I was making more money. And that's actually when I came to Georgia and I opened up my kid spa, and a few other things. But this business was actually running on its own because I hired the staff and it became a full agency. Now, I still had business meetings with them. We would still meet, and things like that. So when people ask, another question that I get often is, because people found out that I was living in Georgia and I had my business there, do I teach that? Absolutely, I do, because my whole goal for CEOs is to eventually you not be the employee, which is sometimes hard to fathom. Because right now, if you tell me I'm not going to be able to do my pretty princess parties, that's hard to fathom, right? Because I love what I do. But to be a CEO and have multiple businesses, or to even have the freedom, you can hire a team to do and be you. And so that's what I did. That's what I teach to eventually, not in the beginning, because I don't advise that for anybody within the first for 1 to 3 years, but eventually you can get yourself out of the business and hire the staff, to do what you used to do. And so, now, was I making this much? I never did because it was not in my brain to grow this business to such a magnitude. I just never thought of it. I was happy to get to 6 figures, and that was it. And it wasn't until my network changed that I actually started hanging around millionaires that millionaire even got on my radar to become a millionaire. And so that's always my goal now. Not saying that you can't or you can do that with this business, but it's a great addition to do it with your child care center or whatever. And this can't get to a million, but I would just say be cautious because it's a state funded program. I would rather go get into real estate and have rentals, properties, and things like that to get diversify that income. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But The possibility is there to get to 1 million, to get to 2 million, whatever. But just know that because there was so much fraud, and again, I'm very transparent about this business, because there was so much fraud in this business, to make such a high income in this business would be a red flag. No matter how well you keep your documents, no matter how well you do, it's just a red flag to them. You can still do it, but just know that your paperwork got to be very tight, very, very tight. Now, back to the CEO status, create systems that pay you while you step back. I know a lot of daycare owners. I know I think a lot of us are in our late 30s, 40s, yes, or higher. Yeah. So do you guys know the Grisbys? Remember the Grisbys daycares? Did y'all know them? They were a very big chain of daycares in Milwaukee. I don't think they're open anymore. I used to go to church with her. Their house was actually in a magazine for one of the best houses in Wisconsin. They had a pool that was indoor and outdoor at the same time, separated by a wall that would open. It was amazing, right? And then the Hickmans. Everybody know the Hickman Academy? They had a school. They had the child care center, Hickman Academy. That's my cousin's grandmother. So I grew up around childcare owners. I worked in their actual childcare businesses. And so I watched them grow their business and step back. And so my grandmother, she had a childcare business. So I always knew again that I wanted to be a business owner and eventually step back. And so this is what I grew this business to be able to do. So a lot of people don't know about this business, and it's not your fault. It's not something that, especially now, right? After all that whole investigation thing happened. So even if you go and look up PNCC, you'll see all the tea. And sad to say, some of the people that was on the list I actually trained. But I didn't tell them to do that. Two people I actually helped open, but they didn't come do my training on running it. One person, she took my training on how to run it, but she never actually took the courses. Like, because my courses, you can see it and who do the stuff. They didn't do it. So I was like, that's not me. That's not my fault. I didn't tell them to do that.
Now, was
I,
this a big scam where they kind of got caught, or they brought attention to themselves because they were out giving out really expensive? Okay, okay.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's sad to like Milwaukee is just not a place where you can just thrive and be amazing and people support that. And so they definitely brought attention to themselves by posting on social media about their cars, their houses, their vacations and things like that. But at the same time, they also probably was doing fraud too. So, and I also blame the state because they had there was no balance, like no boundaries. Like, of course, the boundaries don't break the law, right? But there was no audits enough to where if you're paying somebody 80,000 a month and they're new, don't you want to know what's going on with their notes? Like, or something like and then they didn't have training. And so now you know that you're not training them. What are they? You don't even, so that's, yeah. And so it's just, I want to say maybe 2 years ago, they stopped doing CCC for new people. New people could not do CCC. When you open, you can only do PNCC. I will talk about my courses towards the end, but thank you for saying that. Um, and so yeah, they stopped doing CCC because that's where the fraud was, right? And it just got very scary for a little bit. They actually paused. They allowed people to apply, but they did not process applications, right? And so they was taking people's money, but they made them wait like a year to be approved. So eventually they got it all together. And I actually kind of slowed down. I didn't even promote my classes anymore. So I'm like, I'm stepping back. I don't even want nothing to do with this because, but at the same time, I still see people opening, and my heart is helping people do this the right way, right? And so when they actually in February announced that they brought back CCC for new people, I was like, okay. Okay, it's time because a lot of people, even people who took my classes, like my top classes were like $6,000. Some people they would take that class And they still step back like, oh, we can't do CCC no more. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, but I can help you do PNCC. But they was just like, no. And so when they found out about CCC coming back, I'm getting messages, hey, can we come back? Yeah, you can come back because I want to help you win. I like to see people win. Um, so there are a lot of people who are gatekeepers, who don't give you all the information. They give you just a little bit and they don't help. I have so many people come to me after they pay somebody to help them and say, she didn't help me. And I'm like, I am so sorry. Because I'm a teacher. And one thing I don't put in my bio, I actually went to school for 3 years to be an elementary school teacher. Because growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher. I used to play school with my cousins, and I was always the teacher or the principal. We was not playing y'all doing schoolwork. I had my little thing because my uncle, he's a teacher or he a principal now, but like I had all his stuff. And so teaching is in my blood. After 3 years and we went into the schools for the practicum, I found out day one that was not my lane. Schools that I didn't know, wrong audience. Oh, I switched to community education, and now I help adults. Okay, and so the teacher in me, I teach everything. I'm very even in this, I'm very transparent. Where you won't get some people who tell you even the process of how to work that circle, right? So a lot of people gatekeep. It's a very confusing process, especially the changes that they just made in 2023, where they want to make sure that you're a real business. They want to make sure that you have SOPs. They want to make sure you have a hiring operation plan, a training plan. They want all of those things, and they want to see it before you actually get approved. And then there's no real training. I actually went to see if I could find training again, and it's still very vague. If you've ever looked at the handbook for PNCC, it literally bounces all over the place. It's like one part is right here where it says this, and then over here it says this, but then that kind of contradicts a little bit what that say, and then what does that really mean? And that's actually what the state does with any of their programs. I used to work for Res Care, and it was always gray areas like, what does this mean? I don't understand. You can read it, I can read it, and we walk away with two different things. Why is that?
Yeah, I agree. This honestly, Maria, you're just confirming why I need to get into this because as a mortgage loan originator, I'm on the community lending team. And a lot of these programs, they seem to make it so complex, for the average person to just look and follow through.
Yes.
So I find myself having, because me, I'm a learner and a teacher too. And I
Mhm.
will keep at it. Like, I may get frustrated, but I'll walk away and then I'm thinking about it, like, I got to get it and I'll go get it. And then I'm able to break it down for people.
Yep.
So I realize they have so much available, but
Hmm.
if somebody tells you and you go, there is no guidance. And so I feel like the same way with all the resources that are out here, even the mortgage, and I kind of want to combine that so we can get at the table.
Exactly. And so like one of my students, and one just clear transparency, I do not own my business anymore. I closed it in 2023 to do coaching full time. And actually, I'm in the process of opening back up because I miss it. Like I love it so much, and it's my heart. And so, not working, we used to have every year a community, a holiday like different events, and adopt a family and things like that. And to not do it, it just don't feel right. And so, I am in the process of opening back up, but. I said this to say one of my students, she's a childcare owner. She opened up her PNCC, then she became a doula, but she also has a real estate firm, and so she helps her clients get houses, like she helps them with credit and things like that. And so that's what I did when I had mine, because I'm very, like I said, serial entrepreneur. Until I really found out what I wanted to do, I did a lot. Like I did real estate. I'm still licensed a real estate agent. I've done credit repair. I've done a whole bunch of everything. It's very little that you like, did you do? It's probably yes. And so from everything that I've done, I now can help my client with whatever. Like, you need help fixing your credit? Let me show you how to do that, right? You want to buy a house? Let me show you how to do that. Here are the different, especially with all, like you just said, with all the resources that's in Milwaukee, there's so many resources and they're very affordable, if not free, but it's not known. And so when you have this type of business, is really a heart thing. I think it's a hard thing that helps you stay in it and go far. Now, when it's a money thing, because we saw how much you can make, people don't stay in it, especially when things start to kind of shift and move and the government do whatever. They like, oh, I don't want to do it no more because I can't make money. Well, it's a heart thing. Where was your heart in the first place? Because we all know that social service type things don't have the money. It's a heart thing. And so, yes, it's a necessity for this community. It's a necessity for our clients. And it's one of the reasons why I'm getting back into it because I love helping the community. And again, everybody that I ever worked with, even my contractors, became entrepreneurs because one stream of income, especially nowadays, is not enough. It's not. And so the last thing is hidden qualifications. I get all the time, and we'll talk about this in a second, all the time I have to have a nurse. I've actually had my last two webinars of this. Different people say they were denied because they didn't have a nurse. And I'm like, you didn't need a nurse. You didn't need a nurse. They will get over on you if you don't know what you need to know. Right. And so I teach all my students the entire process. You don't have to have a nurse. There's a list of 9 different people or 9 different careers that fit that qualification. That's not only a nurse. It could be a dietitian. A dietitian could have went there. It could have been a person with a degree in social service that could have, you know what I mean? Like, so they were denied because they didn't have a nurse. But if they would have known the rules and the law, I teach my students to know the law of this business. Just like with daycare, they give you all these rules and stipulations. It comes from somewhere, it comes from the law. So you have to understand the law, right? And so I teach that as well. Let's see. Who can open up any questions so far? No? I'm doing good. Is this good information? Okay. Okay, great. Who can open up a PNCC agency? If you guys are not in the group, I have a free group. Somebody remind me at the end to put the link. I have a free group. I actually did a Q&A, I think last week, where we went over this in extensively on who can have a PNCC agency. So make sure you guys join the free group. I do lives in there often. I put resources in there and things like that. So who can open the PNCC? You need a qualified professional. And this is where that nurse fall in, right? Remember I said people was like, oh, I got denied because I didn't have a nurse. Well, if you didn't have a nurse, you could have had a social worker with a BSW. You could have a licensed practitioner nurse, public health educator, any licensed professional with maternal child health experience. And it's more people that goes into this, but this is just like a little cheat sheet. Pretty much anybody with a degree in this type of area.
Now, do
Go
they
ahead.
have to be staffed or can they be on as your affiliate?
It can be staff. It could be a contractor, which I only did contractors,
Okay.
or it could even be volunteer.
Okay.
Yep. And so this is who your qualified professional is. Now, if that's not you, if you don't fall like a lot of, well, not a lot, but some of the childcare women that I've worked with don't have degrees, they don't have a bachelor's. That's okay, because you can qualify by experience then. If you're not a qualified professional, you do have to hire one. But you can also, now you have to have experience. Before 2023, you didn't have to have experience. Any and everybody could open this. And this is one of those things that they did to try to help fight that fraud thing because any and everybody was opening, whether they had experience or not. They were like, let me open this. And so now you have to have at least 1 year of experience with maternal child health. Um, Again, whether that's WIC, case managers, doulas, child care providers. And again, well, I say again, but I teach my students is you have to word your resume so well as a child care provider because you guys have the experience. You have to, and this is assuming because I didn't do these things, but I'm assuming to open up a licensed child care facility or even at your home, you have to take those nutrition classes. Yes, you have to
The
take
nutrition?
Yeah, like nutrition, because you're like providing snacks and stuff like that, right? For toddlers and yeah. So you have to have those classes. You have to have the infant classes for if you're going to have infants in your facility or your house. So you take these classes and then as the owner, you're working in the infant room or you're helping train people in the infant, like you're doing something that has to do with infants. And sometimes, depending on what your experience is, you're also working with women in the community, whether they're pregnant or not. And so if I'm an auditor who's doing your application, if you don't have that spelled out for me on your resume, am I going to know that? No. So it's very important how well your resume is to be able to show your experience. One of the ladies, I'm working on her application right now, because one thing that I do offer for childcare, it's not only for childcare owners, but almost everybody is a childcare owner who take advantage of this opportunity. My team actually does their resume for them, or not their resume, their application because they don't have time. And so they pay my team to do their application. And so I was working with her and she showed me her resume and I was like, no, it's not good. This is not good enough. And so I actually referred her to a resume writer. She went and got her resume fixed and brought it back. And I'm like, perfect. Because I teach my students, you have to, and I actually was just talking to her earlier. I'm like, I said this already, but you have to make everything in your application so clear that a third grader will understand it. Because you don't know who's going to get your application. You don't know if they're a lazy worker or if they're an overachiever. You don't know if they read that and be like, that don't make sense, denied. Which is what some of those people did who you didn't have a nurse, so they denied you, but they probably didn't even know because some of these staff members are not trained either. And so you either have to have the experience and hire somebody that's a qualified professional, or you can be both. But you gotta be one or the other.
Now, I was a does that count? I fostered my cousin for 4.5 years.
How old?
She from 6 to 10 and a half.
I probably would put it on there. I don't think that it's a winning tilt of the scale.
Okay.
Um, but I've never fostered before, but I'm assuming you have to take classes or something, or like some type
That
of
was,
certificate
that was
or
a while ago. No, I really didn't. I mean, of course, they came and assessed me and all of that. And I think I did have to take some, what do you call that, the CPR thing? Um,
all of that would be on my resume then.
and
Because
then,
that
oh, you know what? I forgot. I actually have an associate's degree as a medical assistant. I haven't used it though, so I
that
forgot
was
that.
my
Yeah, I got
application. Yep.
it. I
Yep.
totally forgot about that.
And that's what my as a like I said, I haven't had a 9 to 5, like a real job. That's what my family used to call it. It was funny. They used to actually call me Tommy for years because they were like, you don't have a job because I
Got
worked from home.
that,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. But because I've been an entrepreneur for so long, I haven't had a resume. And this same lady who I referred my client to, she did my resume. And when she came back and showed me what I've done in the past 15 years or so, I was like, wow, I didn't know I did all of this. You know what I mean? Like, so we forget, if we don't write it down, we tend to forget. And she just
And
made
you,
it so amazing.
yeah,
Yeah,
you brought that back because I used to do baby wellness checks.
that
I
counts.
give depot shots way back in the day, and I just after my externship, I was like, I'm a business person. I don't want to do this, and so I've been in the lending field for so many years. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, so definitely I would put that on my resume. Yep.
Absolutely.
So you don't need a degree, but you have to, if you don't have a degree, you have to have the experience. And so that's why one of the questions that I ask for people who say none, I did ask like what your experience was to just make sure that it was the right fit. All right. Any questions on that? Because I know that that could be, again, I did a whole 30-minute live in my group because just to clarify what that looks like. Because I never want somebody to come. I make sure that that's clear because I never want somebody to pay me for my service and then we do the whole thing and then you realize that you didn't qualify. And I'm like, well, we went over everything and then I don't, I just want to make sure everybody's clear. Everybody's clear on what this look like and what you have to have. So real work experience, 13 plus years in the PNCC world, from client to coordinator to manager to owner and to coach. I keep forgetting to go and update this slide. I don't know why I didn't put that in there. But my classes, I give step-to-step blueprint, complete toolkit, personalized support, depending on which option you get. I do have several packages, but depending on which option you get, depends on the support. Okay, because I have budget-friendly things, but they don't always include me. So I did all the work until I built the system. So again, it was just me, and then I built the system. And then what I did was once I built my system, I went out and taught it. One of my students, and I'm so proud of her, in her first year, she opened in January. By June, nope, by July, she hit six figures. It was almost June. So she almost, because I always say when people come into me, we be like 6 figures, 6 months to six figures. We always say that because what I did, what took me a year, I want to help people get that faster. It shouldn't take you a year if I give you the whole full blueprint. And so she hit six figures by July. By December of that same year, she doubled it. So not just 100K, she was over 200K by December, working the blueprint. Now, was it easy? It was not just she sat back and it came to her. Did everybody get those results? Absolutely not, because it depends on what you do. So she took everything that I taught her and she went pedal to the metal and she got it done. I have some students who had zero, not because I didn't teach them, because they didn't do it. So results may vary, is what I always say. Again, very transparent. Besides the Forward Health portal, how can you verify if they have Medicaid? That's it. Only the Forward Health portal. You can ask them, but I always teach, don't just rely on what they say because people lie. They will lie, they will lie, they will lie. Okay. So you always verify. Was this done in Milwaukee? I'm not sure in reference to what. I only teach Milwaukee. I only have PNCC in Milwaukee. All my students are in Milwaukee. That's one question that I do get often is, do I teach how to open this business in other states? Some states do have this business. Sometimes it's different. It's a different audience. Like, yes, she was in Milwaukee. Georgia has something similar, but they don't work with pregnant moms. They work with students that are disabled. And so I didn't touch it because that wasn't my experience. So I don't teach, like I said, I don't teach outside of Milwaukee because I have not done it. I know it's one of my students, she opened in Milwaukee, then she went and opened in Texas. Now, I've never opened in Texas, so I will not coach and I will not take money from people when I've never done it. So I get that question quite often. My husband was like, "Well, why don't you just go learn?" Because I still never did it. So I'm not gonna go and charge people for something I never did. He don't get it, but I got enough going on. I got enough. I don't need to add another state. So yes, just Milwaukee. But what I can teach is how to run and operate it and you not live there. Because I did that, right? I had a whole business for years. So when the pandemic hit, it was like we was ready because I was already virtual because we were having meetings like this. So yeah, so I give the blueprint, I help you build the systems, I help you apply and get approved. I think I've only had one or two people over the years be denied. And she was denied, one of the girls was denied because she lied on her resume. And she said that she had the experience and she didn't. And they do verify, they do go and check, they do call. If you say you worked at a PNCC agency before, they will check. And so she lied. And so there was nothing I can do about that. And then I believe somebody in my DIY class got denied, but I didn't help her. And so almost everybody that I've worked with personally have been approved if they follow through with the process. I'm going to say that part because some people started and never finished. And so here are some of my students. I have some that were daycare owners. One was is, not was, he is a real estate agent. I got a doula, a social worker. These are all ladies who worked with me, have been approved, have grown their business. One of them actually, she actually closed hers down and just only became a doula, because she had babies and she just wanted to focus on one. And so she was approved and ran it for a little bit, but then she closed it down. One of my students, she just opened, I want to say maybe last year, and she's growing it. She didn't want to do it fast. She just wanted to go at her own pace, and it's just her. And so, real women, real results. You do what you want to do and how fast you want to do it. And so, what you guys already have is if you get the VIP, there is a replay. Um, yeah, that's all I got. Sorry. But what you guys all have already is real world experience helping moms already. You got a child care center. You're working with moms. And so you have the experience, you have the relationships, you have the community. You're getting people referred to your business already. And a lot of you, mostly all of you, have the qualifications. It might again be qualified professional or it might be the experience. And so you have a purpose bigger than a paycheck. Again, I always talk about the heart of this business, but I talk about the paycheck too because you can't have a good heart and no money. Like it's just they go hand in hand. Like if I got a good heart, how much am I helping if I'm homeless? It just is what it is. And so, two paths forward, you can do DIY by yourself or step-by-step coaching with me and my systems that I have laid out for you guys. But the option is up to you. And so, I do have a 2-day workshop coming up. And actually, the workshop is this weekend. I wanted to avoid being on Juneteenth, which is, we all know Juneteenth is the 19th. And so it is actually the 21st and the 22nd. Day one, we are building the foundation of the business, making sure you have the right legal structure. I actually just talked to one of my clients today. She has a childcare business, and I tell all my childcare owners, do not merge these businesses together. We want them completely separate. If you were to ever get sued from your childcare business, you don't want them to also get your PNCC business and vice versa. And so they're going to be two completely businesses, two different bank accounts, two different names, two different EIN, et cetera, et cetera. So day one, the focus is your resume, your QP identification and documentation, NPI, MOUs, like everything paperwork needed. The foundation of everything is going to be day one. And then day two, also it's at 6 p.m. The class is at 6 p.m. So it is evening time. I'm mindful of people with families. So if you eat dinner at 6 p.m., you might have to just tell the kids they on their own for that day or make it early or have your husband do it. My husband is the cook of our house. I'm the baker. He's the cook. But yeah, so just plan for it. And then day two, I actually build an AI bot for this workshop because the operating plan and the training plan are very difficult. And so I created the bot to be able to ask you questions and you answer the questions and then they give the answers in the language of DHS, in the language of DHS in the handbook so that when you actually give the state your operation plan, it's very clear because you're using their language. And so I created that bot to go. And so we're going to go over the bot. I give you all of my SOPs that I had for you to plug and drop. And so when I say all the SOPs, it's 50 plus SOPs. And I'm going to tell you, it took me about a year and a half to make these SOPs because it was one, I didn't want to. I didn't want to do it. And so, and then two, it's time consuming. It's very tedious. I don't know if you guys have to create SOPs, but it's difficult. Okay. And so I give you all of my SOPs for both programs. We go over the internal systems. And then I walk you through the application. The whole point of this workshop is for you to get as much done in these 2 days as possible, so that when you walk away, you're just probably waiting for your MOUs, right? because I've had enough people take my classes, like the DIY class that I used to offer. I don't offer it anymore right now for the reason that people, when they do it themselves, they don't do it. And I have way more people in my DIY class that bought it and never put their application in. So when I said that one of the ladies took my class, I said, "Oh, okay. Did you apply?" She was like, "Nope." That was like 3 years ago. So my whole focus now with my workshops is to help you get done so that you can submit. I want results, people. I want you approved and I want you operating this business. And so if you guys joined this workshop tonight, I gave you a free VIP upgrade, which comes with the AI bot. It comes with, actually, let me go to the next page. It comes with the, of course, the 2-day workshop, the AI bot, the SOPs. It comes with the 101 accountability session. So I'm going to meet with everybody 101 after the workshop. You pick when you want it. A lot of people choose to do it towards the end so that they can go over their whole entire application. And then I'm also including 1 month of group coaching. Why? People don't need another course. Y'all don't, like, we take courses all the time. We need accountability, right? So this is why I'm offering 1 month group coaching, which typically is around $600. I'm offering group coaching so that people can get this application done. So this is what I'm offering for everybody that joined tonight. There is a payment plan in place. There's also financing. If you can't do the payment, financing through Affirm or Klarna. After tonight, you still get the 2-day workshop. Oh, I forgot. I always forget, and I still did not update this thing. You also get a part of the workshop, my DIY class. I don't sell it separate anymore, but you guys get the DIY class because, like, let's say I'm teaching you how to do the AI bot and we're doing the training plan and you don't finish. And then you go finish it next week. You probably forgot the process. And so in my DIY class, I have like 2 to 5 minute videos that walk you through every single thing. So everything we did in this 2-day workshop, you get all the videos on how to do it. Like if you forgot how to do an MOU, you go to the video on how to do an MOU. If you forgot how to do your NPI, which you're going to do it during the day. But let's just say if you forget how to do that, it's a video on how to do your NPI. So that comes in that I usually sell for 800. So that comes inside of this too. And then after Friday, it goes up to the full price. And so if you guys get it tonight, it's $997 for the 2 days. So you get 2 days with me, 6 to 8 p.m. I'm gonna say that the second day might be 9 p.m. depending on how much we get done. Um, and it comes with the one-on-one coaching, 1 month group accountability. Payment plan is available, and financing is available. There's 2 payment plans. If you need a lower payment plan, I actually have another workshop coming up in August. And so you'll be able to break the payments up in 3 if you need to do it that way. So everything is on the website, and let me actually put it in any questions while I'm doing this. Any questions? So after Friday, the original price is 1,200. You don't get the VIP things. The VIP is only if you get it tonight. If you do financing or payment plan, you still get it tonight. If you do the payment plan for August, you still get the VIP because I'm reasonable. I understand the times. And so, but I wanted to give the special for 997 because I want people in it. Again, if you're a childcare owner, this is the perfect marriage. This is me teaching you how to have a 6-figure business that will operate along with your childcare center. For those who have not opened your childcare center yet, my advice would be to open this business first. Why? Because this is the cheapest business to open. You don't need furniture, you don't need toys. You can start in your home. You can have an office if you want. It's the cheapest of the two. Once you get this going, and let's say you do make it to six figures or even a little bit under six figures, this business can then fund you opening your childcare business. It's what I did with my spa, my kids spa. I was able to build it out like I wanted to, and this business funded that. So, any questions on this?
I do have a question. So, starting this now, and say we do everything that you say, when is the soonest that somebody can be up and running?
So it takes anywhere from 3 to 9 months, depending on who you get for your application. So you can submit it, in all honesty, you can submit it within a week. So we do this 2-day workshop. By the end of the workshop, depending on if you have to hire somebody, but a lot of people know somebody. So I teach you who do you know first before you go put an application out on Indeed, the job announcement. Let's go through who you know. You can have your application submitted within a week.
Okay, so within a week. And so what are some of the other costs associated with it? Is there an application fee?
Yes, good question. The only other cost would be the application fee, which I think is 730 $730 every year. It goes up in January. So I always tell people don't wait. Last year it was six something. The year before that it was five something. Actually, it stayed around five something for quite a bit. So it fluctuates. And so for the past couple of years, it's been going up and up and up. So this year it's around 730 or something like that. There are other expenses, but if you want, and so I give a checklist and I have different highlights. So the things that are red, I'm like, you have to have. Things that are black, it's like optional. So do you have to have a LLC when you file? No. Might be smart to because they're looking for real businesses, but it's not a have to. When I started, I did not have an LLC. I had my EIN. And back then I was very naive to business. I thought that's all I needed until I got my check and I couldn't go cash it because I didn't have an LLC. And so I learned that very quick. So do you have to have a website? No. Do you have like an EIN? That's free. Do I have to have an eFax? No. But it's just certain things that it's like I'll give a list of things you have to have, things you don't have to have, but it look nice, and things that you can just completely wait for. But it's up to you. And so it varies. The only thing that is a definite is, of course, the application fee.
Okay. So,
Yep.
because I'm actually pretty much set up because I have my businesses registered, I have my EIN, and my business plan is just about done.
hmm
So now,
And that's good to have, but it's actually not even a necessity either. It's
well,
great.
because mine is I want to expand it. So it's not just
Yep.
this. I want to do this because that's smart. I want to be able to do this. And I may actually replace the job that I'm doing with this and just incorporate what I'm doing and take that time to well, for one, I gotta ask this question. So as startup, what should we expect? How much time should we expect to put into it?
You
Um,
have so many great questions.
thank you.
So when I actually started, I was a care coordinator when I had my own business and it was just me. I just did it part-time. And so because it's up to you how many clients you work with. Now I had the experience, so I knew how to maneuver my clients around my days and my kids and things like that. And so I do teach how to do that. That was actually my first entrepreneur workshop I ever did was time management. And so I teach how to operate and have clients around your life until you're ready to make it full time. I didn't make my PNCC business full time. I want to say maybe I was approved like in April, and then I quit my job like in like September or something like that. But I also was building the business with my other friend. Like she didn't all the way quit yet, so I was still able to like build for clients a little bit through hers and work my 9 to 5 job. So,
Okay.
so
So
how much time would be up to you and how much you want your income to be.
yeah, well, and I can always switch. I can play with my time because I get to work from home and work in the office. So part-time, because I was thinking, am I going to have to put way more time in? But you actually just helped me out a lot. Okay, so
Yeah, because again, remember I told you my one student went six figures in 7 months.
uh,
And she didn't do that by herself. I taught her to have a team. So she actually went and hired people. So she didn't go and do that by herself. That's why she was able to double it within the following 6 months.
Okay, and there was one more question. Okay, and then how did you market your leads? Who did you go for? Did you go for, like what companies, especially here in Milwaukee, did you go to certain hospitals or how did you market?
So you got to remember, I haven't had my business since 2023. And then even then, I was kind of pulled out of my business since like 2018, 2019, something like that. But what I do teach my students is where the type of places to partner with. So like places that people don't think of, like homeless shelters, right? Because there's pregnant women there. They need help. And I found that out because one of my clients was homeless and I actually went to her. And when people that were there found out what I was doing, they was like, oh, I need help too. And so I teach how to think outside of the box. You can do WIC, but I say how to think outside of the WIC department.
Yeah, so it's pretty much word of mouth. Pretty
Yes. Yep.
okay.
And also just like a real business, because remember I said I didn't operate as a real business for a very long time. I didn't think about advertising dollars. I didn't think about marketing. Now we got Facebook ads, you got all type of things. You can be on brochures, you can go do workshop or within the summertime, all the different events have a vending space. And I didn't do any of those things. I learned how to use social media very well. Because again, I came from doing Avon. I came from doing Mary Kay. I came from doing all these MLMs where they taught us how to do social media. And then people who learn from me, they're always shocked and surprised. I'm very introverted. And so some of my contractors, they would just go in Walmart and just be posted and they would see a pregnant woman and then talk to her and give her business.
Yeah,
That was not me. Like I
I
could
can
not.
do that.
So, but that's one way to do it, right? And that's for free. So it's a lot of different ways to go about marketing your business. And PNCC, the pregnant women are always the easiest to find.
Okay.
Yep.
Then I think I want to do it.
Awesome. Any other questions, ladies that are still on? Um, I always, and anytime I give a time, I always give time, Milwaukee time, even though I'm in Georgia and I'm Eastern. So it's midnight, you guys' time. And so again, like if you get the 1 month of group coaching, the one-on-one accountability session, the SOPs, and those are a lifesaver. The AI bot, and oh, another question I got. One lady was like, "What if I can't take the workshop?" And she actually went and joined the option of our team doing the application for her. So if you are a daycare owner, you don't have to be a daycare owner, but again, 98% of the people who take this opportunity are childcare owners because they want to do it, they just do not have the time. And so, for my team and I to do your application, like we do the entire thing, that's actually 1,800. And so, if anybody's interested in that opportunity, just let me know because I had a few people who said, "Oh, I want to do it, but I don't have time." And so, if you don't have time, our team can do it, or you can do the workshop that is this weekend or the workshop that's in August. Any other questions? If not, because my kids are looking at me, I was like, "Oh, we gonna be on for an hour," but then my daughter was like, "Oh, so you mean two?" She already know. So that is all that I have for you guys tonight, ladies. You should get another email just outlining what we talked about tonight, outlining the different VIP experiences that you get if you get it tonight, and then the link. The link is in the comments, but it's also going to come to you guys via. Oh, that was the thing. I'm gonna post also if you guys are not in the oh, that's my little to-do list for one of my students. If you guys are not in the Facebook group, I'm going to put that here for you guys to join. Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Here we go. This is the free group. Like I said, if you guys want to have time for 30 minutes, I do go and teach, do a 30-minute session on who can apply, but we've just walked over everything. So that is all that I have for you guys tonight. Join the free group. Look out for the email. If you have questions, y'all know how to reach me because I sent every single one of y'all a message on Facebook and an email. So That's it. You guys have a good night. Bye.